Hand pain is a guitar player's worst nightmare. Maybe you already face it, maybe you're worried about it. One thing's for certain, it can cut your guitar playing time short or maybe stop you playing completely. But what if I told you that in most cases you can drastically reduce, manage or fix your hand pain altogether? And it's not as hard as you think. Welcome back my dudes, it's awesome to see you. I'm Jack, and in this video I want to help you fix or avoid something that I've got a fair bit of experience with. There are so many things that can cause you to start experiencing pain in your hands and arms when you're playing guitar. Mine's an extreme example, but it's pretty dumb, so I thought I'd share it with you. It all started for me at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Now, if that's a sport that you've not seen before, you basically just practice ragging another person around until they tap or go unconscious. It's great exercise, but it's really hard on your body, and I had two quite bad injuries that really affected my guitar playing. The first injury came from fighting an opponent who was getting a little bit frustrated. He ended up hyperextending my elbow, compressing my ulnar nerve, and that gave me numb fingers and arm pain for weeks that still crops up now. The second injury, and probably the most likely cause of the problems that I've got now, was after an hard round with a friend that I had. He caught a submission called a triangle choke, and instead of tapping early, I stupidly decided to fight through it, get the win, but all at the cost of my neck. Since then, I get hand and arm pain quite frequently, which, as you can probably imagine, is a little bit annoying. And I wasn't even that good at jiu-jitsu, so it probably wasn't worth it anyway. But the causes aren't usually as extreme as getting beaten up at martial arts.
I never lose!
Aside from injuries, something as simple as lifestyle, overuse, or bad playing habits can lead to really bad pain in your hands, repetitive strain injury, and all sorts of nasty shit. But the good news is that you can fix it, or at least make it loads better. Let's start with the easiest thing to change and immediately start feeling a difference. Your guitar's setup or choice of guitar can have a huge impact on the amount of pain that you feel in your hands and arms. When you think about it, dude, it makes so much sense. If you're playing a guitar with action higher than it needs to be, massive string gauges relative to tuning, or a longer scale length, it's going to take much more effort to move those strings. That puts unnecessary strain on all the little delicate parts that make up and move your hand and arm. So take a look at your guitar and ask yourself, what can you do to really optimize its setup and make it effortless to play? Bring the action down as low as you can possibly tolerate it. A small amount of fret buzz is perfectly fine, and then get a set of strings on there that's as light as you're willing to go. My standard tuning guitars are all set up with D'Addario XS or XT super light gauge strings, which are 9 to 42. And my action's set about 1.5mm on the bass side and as close to 1mm as I can possibly get it on the treble side. It takes barely any effort for me to fret a note and bend strings, and it really helps me relax my fretting hand as much as I possibly can. For some people, the actual guitar that you're playing could be giving you issues or making existing ones even worse. That's actually the reason that I'm trying out this Strandberg with the Endure neck, but there's going to be more on that in another video. If you play long guitars, then one option is to try one with a shorter scale length. That'll give you less tension on the strings and help you reach notes more easily, and combine that with a great setup and a light gauge of strings and you're onto a winner. Also, one of the reasons that I love trem guitars so much is that it takes a bit of the strain out of bending strings, because the springs actually allow for a bit of give and just make it so much easier. I'm not saying you need to go out and buy a guitar that's loaded with a trem, unless you want to, but it's definitely an option if you love a good boomer bend like me. Posture is the next thing that you really need to think about. How you sit when you practice guitar could well be the cause of any aches and pains that you have while you're playing guitar or after. Now, as you know, I'm no classical guitar player, that's for sure, but you are going to see me sitting in a classical position for all my upcoming videos. That's actually because I'm dealing with a repetitive strain injury flare-up right now, and it's partially because I slipped back into bad habits. When I sit with a guitar like this in the relaxed position, I honestly don't feel all that relaxed, dude. Because I'm not super tall, but I've got a really long torso and really long arms like some sort of gibbon, I have to bend my arms more and pull my shoulders back to play when I'm sat like this. That puts loads of tension through my shoulders, upper back and arms, which needs to be avoided. Also, another problem when you're playing like this is the higher you get up the fretboard, the more you have to pull your arm into the body and the more tension you get in your shoulder. Tension is evil for guitar players because it wrecks your playing and your body. Sitting in a classical position allows you to keep your back straight, your shoulders and arms relaxed, and that's the secret sauce for less pain and better playing. I do know that it's all too easy to just slump back into a seat or slouch over your guitar. We've all done it, and it won't hurt now and again, but it really should be avoided as best you can. To sit in a classical position more easily, all you really need is a good strap and something to put your foot on. Set your strap length as short as it needs to be to keep the guitar on your lap with the neck at about a 45-degree angle, and use your footrest to bring your leg high enough to keep your guitar comfortably in place. If you don't want to buy a footrest, then you can just use something like a stack of books, a box, the dog, whatever you want really. But actually no, don't use your dog please. Now that your guitar's set up, you're sitting comfortably, this is an intervention. We need to talk about your warm-ups. I know that warming up is not an exciting part of playing guitar, but it doesn't need to feel like a chore or an obligation. It can and should be a worthwhile part of your guitar practice time, and dare I say it can even be fun. Seriously though, if you've got hand and arm issues or you want to avoid them further down the line, you absolutely need to be warming up properly. I hate to say it, but there's really no way around it and no set time frame. When your hands and fingers start to feel physically warm and they're moving freely, then that's when you're warmed up. Cheating by running your hands under the hot tap or putting them on the radiator isn't actually the worst idea in the world, but you do still need to get all those muscles, tendons and other little bits and pieces working and ready to shred. Running up and down scales or repeating patterns is the best way to get warmed up, but don't just jump straight into them at 64th notes at 500 BPM. 1. Something will probably blow up somewhere if you're practicing that fast. And 2, you'll just knacker your hands out before you've even had a chance to do anything. Take the time to run your scales far slower than you know that you can play them at and just focus on keeping your entire body relaxed. Also, use as little effort as possible to fret each note and concentrate on good, clean technique. After a few reps, you can start to increase your speed, but while you're warming up, always keep it at a comfortable tempo. From there, warming up is a great opportunity to start learning something new. Find an exercise you want to work on, chord shapes you want to practice, or a new riff that you want to learn, and use the same slow principles from above to practice them. As you're working, you'll gradually slip into full practice mode with a nice, fully warm set of digits, and you can just do what you want without worrying. But do be aware of the warning signs. If you start to feel any pain, tension, or anything nasty, dial it back a little bit or even take a little break. The absolute worst thing you can do is just play through the pain and aggravate it, because it'll only cause more problems and warm up time further down the line. And don't forget to take regular breaks during your practice time anyway. 5 to 10 minutes every half an hour is a really good rule to follow. Putting these 3 elements into practice will make a huge difference to how your hands and arms feel when you pick up your guitar to play. It's what I've been doing for a while now, and it really helps, especially when I start to feel symptoms creeping back up on me. By building the right habits, you set yourself up for a lifetime of painless playing, and will even see improvements just by learning to relax. If this video has been helpful, a quick click of the like button is massively appreciated, because it lets YouTube know to spread it to other awesome people like yourself. And I would love to have you stick around by becoming a subscriber if you're not one already. In the meantime, YouTube thinks you'll like this video, so why not give that one a try next? Thanks again dudes, I really appreciate you watching. Take care, stay safe, I'll see you later.